Hello Dino friends. I finished exploring during my livestream, and I was lucky enough to pull Jinshi at the end. I wanted to share how I built her and what I learned so far. It'd be great if any Jinshi owners can teach me additional tips on things I haven't mentioned here. Let's get to it right away. Jinshi is a spectral main DPS. She hits like a truck. Her best weapon is her limited weapon, Absolute Pulsation, then Ji Yan's weapon, Verdant Summit, then the regular Lustrous Razor 5-star weapon. If you don't have any of them, that's okay. Autumn Trace from the Battle Pass is great as well. Make sure to have crit damage forecast echoes if you have crit weapon, and crit rate echo if you don't have a crit weapon. With that, let's go over the echoes. Currently, my Jinshi does not have any resonance chain, but I do have her weapon. I've seen people say if you're over 2 resonance chain plus her weapon, 44111 can be a good choice to boost more crit related assets, while anything below that can have the standard 43311. The Sonata effect is the 5-set Celestial Light. The forecast echo must be the new boss Jew, with crit rate or crit damage based on the weapon you have. This echo is really good because it does not hinder her cycle at all, since you don't transform into him. It's a good placement echo you should always use first before starting your cycle, because it also boosts the skill damage as well. As for 3 costs, it's between elemental damage or attack percentage. I think generally most people choose based on what kind of good substats they have. For 1 cost, attack is the standard. As for substats in general, I think having up to 20 to 30% energy regen is pretty nice to get her cycle running smoothly. Other than that, any crit rate related attributes, attack percentage, and resonance skill damage bonus is pretty good as well. But remember, echo min-maxing is possibly the most inefficient thing to spend resources on right now, so don't be stressed out too much about the best substats for now. Before going over her potential teammates, let's talk about the playstyle and learn how her systems work. Jinshi's damage allocation is heavily focused on her E skill and R, and this E skill is unique where there are a few types you could use. Using E as it is a simple dash. But after 4 auto attacks, her E will glow up, which will send her up in the air floating. This initial E jump can also be activated immediately if she's coming in as an intro skill, skipping the 4 auto attacks. She also only needs 2 auto attacks if she's being swapped in as normal, which is another known system in the game. Also, note that switching a character from this flying state is a bad idea because they will be swapped in mid-air. But if you need a quick swap, you can do it during your ascension animation. You'll still keep your combo and still be at hovering state if you switch back quickly. When you're in the air, you can use E again to dash attack one more time, which is an option. After 4 more auto attacks from this point, her E will glow up again to have her dragon to fire a big laser beam at the enemies. This laser beam's damage is based on how many incandescent stacks you have gathered, and the max is 50. If you land this attack, you will also gain a unison buff, where you can switch out with activating intro and outro skill without your consortial energy being full. If you do have consortial energy being full though, it uses this buff instead, so you can actually keep your consortial energy for another outro skill use. It's really nice. Incandescent stacks can be filled up when people in the party inflict attribute damage. It goes up by 1 point every 3 seconds. Also, Jinshi gains additional 2 stacks if this is a coordinated attack. So for example, if I play with Farina, I can get 3 stacks every 3 seconds with her coordinated attack after her liberation skill. If I play with Yinlin's coordinated attacks though, I will be getting 4 stacks instead because it's a different attribute. So if I happen to have both Yinlin and Farina's things active, I will be getting 6 stacks total. This 3-second cooldown is the bottleneck. But if her outro skill activates, another buff called Temporal Bender happens, where this 3-second delay turns into 1 second. So she'll be pumping those stacks after her outro skill is activated. So therefore, her general style is building enough stacks during her combo before nuking your laser into the enemies. And you need to pair her up with allies who gives coordinated attacks. With this in mind, let's go over her potential teammates. Supports can be Belina and Baishi. They both have coordinated attacks in their liberation skill. As for sub DPS, I believe Yinlin is the best right now due to her Forte Circuit punishment mark lasts a very long time. You also have Mortifi, where his liberation skill is quite nice as well. His resonance chain being 4 will yield 7 more seconds, so it's good to have that if you're planning to use him. Yuanwu also works by spawning the Thunder Field with his E skill, but I don't think he is as popular right now. For those of you who are thinking Tauki for her outro skill boosting 38% damage on resonance skill, from basic calculation I've seen, her synergy is higher if your stack is less than 16-ish. Since all of her sub DPS can provide that naturally or even more, she is kind of not important for Jinshi because she's not that great at giving stacks. Therefore, if possible, Yinlin or Mortifi at RC4 and Verina or Baishi for support should be the team I recommend. If you don't have them, you can consider regular Morphe, then Yeonwoo, then Taoki. With that, let's go over the general playstyle and advanced tips for the team. I will give an example for Jinhsi, Yinlin, and Verena team. The general party goal is to have Yinlin to activate her Forte circuit or Verena activating her R before switching to Jinhsi. Since Jinhsi's E skill is about 12 to 15 second cycle cooldown and R skill being about 24 seconds, as long as you control your outro skills and allocate cooperative attacks properly, you can maintain 40 to 50 stacks from starting from your second cycle. Essentially, you will be quick swapping between Yinlin and Verena without using the Concerto energy, with the goal of activating Yinlin's Forte circuit and Verena's R. And when Concerto energy is filled up, you swap into Jinhsi to cycle her DPS. When Jinhsi cycle is complete, you swap immediately to the resonator you've switched from to control the party's Concerto energy. So the swap order of my party will be something like 3-2-1, 2-3-1, and 3-2-1 and repeat. Let me demonstrate and commentate by showing a full run in the echoing tower. Here, even if I'm controlling Jinhsi, you can start with Yinlin if you want to. As soon as the round starts, I use E on Yinlin, quick swap to Verena to activate QER, then I quick swap to Jinhsi to activate Q and R, then I quick swap to Yinlin again for her R skill. When all that is complete, I heavy attack on Yinlin for more meter, quick swap to Verena for heavy attack, then quick swap again to Jinhsi to start our first cycle. Remember that your heavy attacks with high animation frames can be cancelled by quick swapping. This is to compress meter gains and DPS. And this swap is important because the regular swap still shortens the auto requirement by 2 hits for Jinhsi to start our first E. The first laser attack should not have much stacks because we just started fighting. When the first E laser is complete, remember that you have the Union buff to activate your outro intro skill. We're going to switch to Yinlin right away because we've used Verena's R a few moments ago. Since we got some nice meter from the opener, we don't need to quick swap to Verena here because we have Yinlin's Forte circuit available and Concerto energy almost filled up. Based on how filled up it is, your action varies from autoing just a little more to immediately swapping as soon as you use your heavy attack Forte circuit. Then your second Jinhsi cycle starts. You will notice significant stack increases for more damage. Quick tip is if you want to fire your E skill ASAP, you can actually keep spamming it while auto attacking. Since I swapped from Yinlin, I swap back to her again. Then I use her EE skill only to quickly fill up my meters. Remember to quick swap the second E skill to save frames. When Verena is swapped, press skills that are off cooldown and heavy attack if needed to fill the rest of the Concerto energy to swap to Jinhsi to start our third DPS cycle. And since this is our third DPS cycle, your Arch skill should be up. Generally, you can use it right after your E laser is complete or before any time if you happen to see a dangerous pattern to immune through it. When complete, you're switching back to Verena and activating her R skill, then use additional skills if needed to squeeze in more meter gains. Quick swap to Yinlin and gather Concerto energy and activate Forte circuit before switching to Jinhsi. The fourth Jinhsi DPS cycle is where you'll start seeing max stack E damages because you've used both the cooperative synergies at the right time. From here you'll be repeating the same thing over and over. You have to be versatile because you have different meters based on the fight patterns and accidents. As for skills not mentioned here like Jinhsi's Q, be sure to activate it every off cooldown to squeeze in more DPS and buffs. Try remembering the orders and the importance of cooperative synergy to push your DPS up. I hope this information helped. I will let this fight roll through for more examples, and the detailed information on my characters will be at the back. It's not as min-max, but enough to enjoy the fights. With that, I will end it here. As always, thanks for watching, bye bye!
움직이지 마. 응답하라. 평화의 세상이여.